Welcome to the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast. I'm your host and speaking coach, Deborah Darris, known as the top Latina peak performance speaker. This podcast is here to support you with strategies and best practices of paid speakers so you can find out what works and what doesn't, so you can achieve success with ease and grace in your speaking career. Enjoy the show. Are you always on the road speaking and your house is all alone collecting dust? Wouldn't it be nice to make some passive income while you're out speaking on the road? Well, I do. Want to know my secret? Airbnb. I use Airbnb to make some extra cash to reinvest in marketing for my speaking business. It's so simple. You just set up a listing and voila, you come home to money in your bank account on top of what you already made speaking. If you want to know more, go to the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast.com to get all the information. Welcome back to another episode of the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast, your favorite podcast to get all the information to grow your speaking business. And today is a very, very special day because I have someone that I've had the privilege of meeting, of seeing speak, and who I consider, she doesn't know it, a mentor. She is just an incredible woman, and I'm so excited that she had the time to be able to be here with you. Let me introduce Dr. Sheila Nazarian. She is a board-certified plastic surgeon with a private practice in Beverly Hills. Ooh la la. Nazarian Plastic Surgery and Spa 26. She has a master's degree in medical management from the Marshall School of Business at the University of Southern California, where she is also an assistant professor in the plastic surgery department. Additionally, she serves as the co-chair of membership for the California Society of Plastic Surgeons. She is a highly requested public speaker with over 20 engagements per year, and she's constantly appearing on a multitude of television programs. On top of all that, she's the founder of the Nazarian Institute, a nonprofit organization with the mission of empowering others' personal and professional growth. She's also the founder of the Skin Spot, an online e-commerce site for medical grade skincare. Please help me welcome Dr. Nazarian.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
I'm so grateful that you could make the time. With just reading your bio, I'm like, I'm tired.
I know, I'm tired.
I didn't even mention the part that you're married to an amazing neurosurgeon and you have beautiful children and you're just like the woman that's doing it all, my friend.
I have great help and I am extremely organized with my time. I think that's all of us.
But before we even get started on your business or on your speaking, I am so curious because we never even had like a deep conversation to get to know you and how you are so driven and what makes you get up 24/7 and do everything that you do.
I think like it's a personality. I think I've always sort of wanted to achieve and grow and never stagnate and just keep, learning new things and trying new things. But also I lost my mom when I was 16. And I think that just sort of reinforced that, our time here on earth is short and we should do as much and learn and experience as much as possible. And I think that just sort of like was a little unhealthy in the beginning when she passed away. I just sort of like dove into work and studied harder and just never really processed it. I think I processed it like every 6 months or so, little by little. Mm-hmm. Which I don't recommend. But back then, that's just how I sort of, dealt with it. And I guess it's a positive way, of dealing with sadness and loss that I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to make her proud and I'm going to do as much as I can while I have time here on earth.
Oh my gosh, I can totally relate to you. You don't know this about me, but my brother passed away when I was 16. And no, he was 16. I was 19. Mm-hmm. And when he passed away, like, I didn't know if I wanted to be here anymore. I was like, well, what's the purpose of being in life if somebody that I love the most can be gone? And then he came to me in a dream and said, no, your purpose is to inspire people. And then I became insane. And I literally was just like working, doing. And I kind of became an adrenaline addict. But like you, it was like, I'm not promised to wake up tomorrow. And
Right.
my grandmother was saying, why are you trying to live your lifetime in a day? Because there's so much to be done. And you
Totally.
are so inspiring. And just becoming a plastic surgeon. I mean, being a woman of color. How did you
Mhm.
even have the idea that that's what you wanted to do and that was the
Yeah.
career for
I
you?
mean, I think originally, I did wood shop, I think in the fourth grade. And I loved like designing it. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like an architectural plan, but it's like so precise. Even the arrows have to be drawn a certain way. And I just love that like preciseness. And then I loved building the actual like bookshelfy thing. I still have it somewhere. I loved building that. And so I was like, you know what? I want to be an architect. And then I was like, well, I don't want to be behind a desk. I want to design it, but I also want to build it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon because I get hammers and nails and it's like wood shop. And my dad was a doctor. And so I was like, okay. So then I started following around an orthopedic surgeon. It was very cookie cutter. Like literally they put a metal thing on your knee and they cut around it. And then they take the implant, they put it on there. And it wasn't as creative as I would have liked. So I had a friend and he was like, well, why don't you do plastic surgery? Because it sounds like you like surgery, but you want to be more creative. So he actually introduced me to one of my mentors when I was in my first year of medical school. And he sort of was so supportive, so kind, an amazing surgeon, spoke like an encyclopedia. He was like, I was like, oh my God, like one time he said a bad word and I was like, oh my God, the God says bad words. I just held him on, such a pedestal. But he took me into the operating room with him and I just never looked back. I loved it.
Wow. And it's so important because having mentors is
Mm-hmm.
something that everyone could benefit from because there's someone that's paved the way before you, and
Right.
seeking out those mentors is so important. And
Yeah.
so here you are, amazing plastic surgeon, amazing mom, and then now you're being sought after for speaking. How did you
Yeah.
go from plastic surgery to hitting the stage? Because most plastic surgeons that I know aren't super comfortable being on stage speaking.
I've always I always joke that like I never met a microphone I didn't like. Love like sharing and I love, teaching, and I've always been an open book, and I've never been like, okay, I know something good, I'm going to hold it a secret. Like even if I got my, dress from Ross, I'm going to be like, girl, I got it at Ross. You know what I mean? I'm just like a very sharing type of person, and I'm a performer. I love, I was a ballet dancer. I did a lot of theater stuff. And so I really just enjoy, being on stage and sharing. Just like you're a firecracker on stage. It's like, I don't know if it's like an adrenaline thing or what. It's fun. And when I first got out of residency, nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows your name. And I just started making YouTube videos. I was like, YouTube video this, YouTube video that. I got on Facebook. I was on Instagram. And I think back then, none of the other plastic surgeons were really doing that. And so I just became really well known really quickly. And my social media, is people might follow for 2 years, but they really get to know you. So by the time they're in to see you for a procedure or whatever, they already feel like that trust has already been made. Like they've seen your kids, they know your husband, they know your personality.
I saw you singing in the car on Instagram yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun, you can't take yourself too seriously. And I feel like a lot of doctors are always like, I'm a doctor.
Right.
And that's just not me. And I share that online. I share my real life. And sometimes I get haters, whether it's patients that just don't click with me and they're like, I would never go to you. You're singing in the car. They want a really serious person. Other people are like, I want to go to you because I want to be your friend. Like, it's like, I feel like we have that connection. So, and that's fine. I'm not here to, please everybody. But anyway, getting back to it, I think that doing that sort of gave me an upper edge. And while some plastic surgeons were like, oh, social media is somehow not acceptable or unethical or I don't know what. A lot of the history of plastic surgery is we weren't even allowed to advertise in the yellow pages.
Oh, wow.
Advertising was considered wrong and unethical. So going from that to social media where it's like, boof, it's very difficult even to this day for a lot of plastic surgeons to accept it, to be honest with you. But I started that and I sort of was like, what? I want to share who I am. I didn't have any female mentors. I feel like I could be a mentor to many young girls all across the world who might have never seen a female surgeon or a feminine female surgeon. And I just wanted to give an alternative option for mentorship. So I did it. I knew who I am in my own heart. I knew what I was doing, regardless of anybody approving or not approving. And then later on, a shift happened, and all those people that were like, oh my God, what is she doing? Were like, how do I do that?
Right.
That's when the invitations started coming. And I feel like that's how it is a lot of times with sort of like cutting edge people, or people hate on you, and then they jump on the bandwagon. So when they see that, you know what, this isn't going away. So initially I started getting invited to just speak on to other, you know, my colleagues about social media and about business, because I do have a business degree. And then that evolved into speaking about plastic surgery procedures that I do a lot of. And now it's gotten to the point where I started my own conference, like you mentioned, where I will actually bring in people outside of medicine. Because sometimes I feel like it's like blind leading the blind, you know, like why am I talking on social media when I have like 230,000 followers, where I can bring in somebody who has 5 million followers to talk about social media. So that's sort of how I'm changing it a little bit in my conference. It's a lot of doctors, but really people from all walks of life. And you've been there, you're a speaker. And it's really about a meeting of the minds. Like, let's see how the hotel owners are doing it. Let's see how they're doing customer experience. Let's see how the Instagram famous girl is doing her Instagram, and what her strategy is. And I feel like we can take little bits and pieces from other successful people and see how it applies to our own business and even our own personal lives. Like, there's a lot of personal growth that happens along with, because you might say, you know what, I know I have all the tools now. I know what's going to grow my business, but what is it about me and my personality that's holding me back?
Yes.
It's a different kind of conference, but I sort of, instead of going and speaking at all these other conferences, I said, you know what, they can come hear me speak at my own conference. And if they want me to go speak at their conference, they have to pay.
Which is the Nazarian Institute. You can go online and register right now, right? Why not?
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because certain conferences, for example, like in Paris or in Monaco, they'll pay for my like flight, they'll pay for the hotel, but they might not pay me to go. But what happens is, as a plastic surgeon, every day that I'm not in my office,
you're losing money. Yeah.
Overhead doesn't go away. My employee salaries don't go away.
Right.
So it's almost like opportunity cost.
Right.
Sort of gone to the point, and I'll tell you a story, like not to brag or anything, but it's just like, you know, understanding. I think as women, it's very difficult to understand our own value. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, we want to help people. And like, oh, it strokes my ego to be on stage. But like with my Instagram and like, you know, sort of reach now across my own industry, I don't need to be on stage at somebody else's conference for my notoriety to go up. That's sort of organically already happening. And I was in Paris giving a talk, and literally there was 40 people lined up to take a picture with me afterwards because they had been following me on Instagram for a very long time. And I just realized, like, why am I here without being paid?
Right.
It was kind of an aha moment, because I was like, I'm a draw at this conference. Like, I helped them sell tickets because they used, like, they said I was going to be here. And why am I not getting paid for this? Then I have a patient who's an oral surgeon, and they never not get paid to speak. Like, she was like,
Amen.
Why would you go someplace and not get paid? And, you know, it's one thing if it's like, you know, really going to help my notoriety. Like, you know, maybe it's some conference that's not inside of plastic surgery or not inside of the aesthetic realm where I already have influence. Maybe it's a conference outside where I don't have influence, that it will, you know, benefit me as much as it benefits the people throwing the conference. That's different. That I would still do. Or maybe it's in a cool location that otherwise I would never go, you know, like Bangkok or something.
Right.
Okay, I might go there, you know, unpaid. But if it's a conference, like I've been to that place a million times and I am sort of a pull, people are coming to hear me speak, then I should be paid.
Exactly. And
That's
just to summarize, like, because everything is a strategy. So you basically said, and I think your business background has a great deal of impact on your success as a speaker, because once you know how to run one business, you can run another one. And one of the things I always emphasize is speaking is a business. And if you don't know how to market and you don't know how to position yourself, you're never going to get booked. But one of the things that you said was you went on YouTube and you went on Instagram, not to say, look at me, I'm great, but to be able to inspire that young girl that would never, and I think that's so important, because that's intention. And our intention is so, because people don't want to be sold to. And if you go on social media and you're like, here I am, I'm the next Tony Robbins, nobody wants to hear that. They want to be receiving the answer to their problem. And that's what you're giving people. You're giving people.
Yeah, exactly. And I have like 5 Instagram pages.
I know you do.
But, yeah, there's different intentions for each of them. And I think you have to know what those are. Like for the Dr. Sheila Nazarian page, that's lifestyle. It's my life. And that's inspiration. And that's things that I've learned along the way. I don't put any before and after pictures on there. I don't put anything medical on there. Because what makes me different from the 31 other plastic surgeons in my building? We all do great breast augmentation. We all have some great before and afters. But that doesn't really differentiate me. It doesn't help somebody choose one doctor over another. People now, it's not good enough to be good at what you do. You need to be more. You need to have good bedside manner. You need to care. You need to take care of them. They need to feel like they have a connection with you. There's so many choices, especially in Beverly Hills with plastic surgeons.
Right.
Like me putting up a before and after of breast augmentation is not like, the way I like to think about it is social media is social. Like if I went to a cocktail party, imagine Deborah, I came to a cocktail party, I see you and I whip out my before and afters and I start showing you my before and afters.
Like people do with their
You're
business cards.
Yeah, you'd be like, who's this nerd? Like, I don't want to hang out with you, right? But like social media is social. You want to share your life. You want to show people who you are. Nobody else is you. And that's really what's going to differentiate you. Then I do have a page, The Model Surgeon, that is all blood and gore and boobs and butts and fat transfer and liposuction, which some people don't want to follow, because they don't want to be eating breakfast and all of a sudden see like fat coming out of someone's body. Then there's the spa page, which I actually use to educate people because I think there's so much misinformation out there about like neuromodulators, fillers, lasers. Like not every laser is good for every skin type. It's a lot of education on that page. It's both like to other businesses and to the consumer, to the patient. And then we have a skincare page, which is also educational, and that one's an e-commerce site. And it's funny that you said once you run one business, you can run another, because the e-commerce site has been a whole different beast. Mm-hmm. So say like, I think running an e-commerce site is very different than running like a brick and mortar.
Right.
Because brick and mortar, like, employees, speak on your behalf, like it's a team effort, where I feel like, the e-commerce, like it lives online. So it's very much like IT dependent. You want to make sure everything's working properly. It's just it's been a huge learning experience for me, but very gratifying. And then we have the Nazarian Institute, which is the conference. And that one is more motivational, more of like the stuff you talk about.
Yes. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we do that, because one of the things that also gets you to be the speaker is that you are also an influencer, you yourself. So, yes. And we had a whole episode with Betty last time on why it's important as a speaker to be an influencer. Can you talk about what it is to be an influencer and those that are listening that are like, why do I need to do that? And why is that important?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. I'll just give you an example. Like, for example, I get big influencers coming to me to be treated. We speak like the same language, number one, but two, they know that if I share anything about them, they're going to get a bump in their followers too. Same with these conferences, right? If you have like a celeb or an Instagram famous person come speak at your conference, it's a draw. So they're more likely to ask you to come because they're going to sell more tickets than somebody else. And also you become an authority. Like if I'm speaking about social media and I have 2 followers, it's like, when they say like, don't take financial advice from someone who has less money than you.
Exactly.
It's like the same thing. Why would they ask me to come? And that, why would they have me ask to come and speak about social media if I have like, no influence? Makes no sense.
Right. So influencing is basically getting people to like, trust, and know you in an authentic way. Am I right?
Yes. And it doesn't mean that they'll like you. Honestly, like I have so many colleagues following me because they hate me. I'm telling you, it might be, I hear so many bad things, about me. And I just know, that it comes from a different place. It has really nothing to do with me and more with the other person. But people being like, oh, she uses unfair tactics. What does that mean? Me in a ball gown on my social media, me doing my workout on my social media, is that an unfair tactic because you're old and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you have to not be stupid, right? Going to business school teaches you that you have to understand the audience and you also have to understand the platform. Mm-hmm. So Instagram is a very visual platform. I'm not going to post ugly pictures on there.
Right.
That's dumb. I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? I want to give people what they want. Honestly, like I want to give people what I want. Like I follow fashion pages, I follow beautiful photo sort of pages, and that's what I give to my followers as well. I try to put something inspirational in the caption. I often find truths in there. Like I just posted something like, I wish somebody would tag their plastic surgeon and not just their like makeup artist all the time. It's so true, because I see people I have worked on and they're forever tagging their stylist, their makeup artist, their hair person. And I'm like, I built you from like literally your forehead all the way down to your like ankles, and I never get credit. Right?
I reposted that in my stories. I love that. I think
I mean, it's been reposted now probably like 10 times.
Oh, really?
World, Russia, Kuala Lumpur, like everywhere. It's cool. So I try to find things that are relevant, relatable, and authentic.
Relevant, relatable, and authentic. Write that down, because in order for you to be a sought after speaker, you have to drive ticket sales. It's just logical. You know, if you're not getting people into seats, why do people want to have you there?
Or like, why do you think, Bella Hadid? Why do you think Gigi Hadid? Why do you think these people get asked to walk the runway? Because if that goes on their Instagram, that's great for the designer too. So these decisions are made all the time. You want to get as many impressions, as many eyeballs as possible for your brand. So you're going to choose the person that not only fits the bill, but also is going to give that added benefit.
And which account would you want them to follow that can give them an example? The model surgeon?
I think like it depends on what they like. I think, the Dr. Sheila Nazarian one is really more relatable, because not everybody's a plastic surgeon going to be showing their surgery, but it might give them ideas about different types of posts that I do that, and they can look and see, okay, this one got so many likes, this one got so many views, whereas this one didn't get as many likes. And I look at that stuff too every single day. I don't care as much. Like I basically post because it's what I want to post and I'm feeling it in the moment.
Right.
You want to also have an idea of who your audience is and what kind of things they like. And it's interesting. It's been a shift, and it changes all the time. Like when I had 2,000 followers, it was my friends and family. So all they wanted to see is pictures of my kids, and that's it.
Right.
Then it became 10,000, and all they wanted to know is like, who is this new plastic surgeon? So all they wanted were before and after pictures. Now, if I post a before and after picture on my main page, I'll lose 500 followers in like an hour. They don't want to see that. They're there for inspiration. They're there for motivation. They're there to see style. It's not about that. So that's why I had to create separate pages so that people really can follow the ones that they're interested in.
And that's one of the things that you guys can get from this is you want to think about, what do people want? What are the 3 feelings that they want when they go to my platform? So when you first started doing paid public speaking, did you have a mentor or did you have an agent? How did you know how to negotiate the fees and get what you deserve?
You are going to laugh so hard. Like, not a lot of plastic surgeons are asking for money. Like when I said it to some people like that are like 30 years older than me, they're like, what, really? And people do it? I'm like, well, yeah, we leave our work, we leave our families, like we should, get paid for that.
It's that opportunity cost that you mentioned. I'm like, I can't even get on a plane.
It's insane. If I tell you how much
it
like costs to just run my practice one day, you would like die. It's insane opportunity cost. But anyway, so I didn't have a mentor at all. Wow. And we do have a TV show coming out. So I am working with an agency now. But that wasn't
Hey, did you guys hear that? She's got a TV show. I'm so excited for you.
And honestly, like the social media fed into that too, that influence. Like I have a built-in audience. So it was much easier for the network to approve it. I can't say which network yet, but the best one ever.
It's a good one. It's a really good one. I can tell you.
So, so I think I kind of had to wing it, and I just started around like a ballpark number, and they went for it. So it was really great. Now I sort of created 3 different tiers, and I don't know how you do it. I'd actually be interested. You can be my mentor on this. I started with like, if I can drive there within 2 hours, it's this much, up to 3 hours. And then if I have to get on a plane to come over there, it's this much, including airfare, hotel and all of that stuff. And if it's going to be broadcast, they have to pay for hair and makeup. And then if I have to go international, it's a different cost. Right. So that's sort of what I did. I don't know if that's right or wrong or what, but I'm going with it right now. So
Yeah, if it works for you, I'm negotiating a gig in Umbria today at 3 p.m.
Nice.
So excited. I've never been to Italy. I've never been to Europe. I'm like,
Oh, it's amazing.
oh my gosh.
Oh, it's amazing.
So let's talk about the Nazarian Institute and
Let's do it.
it was such a privilege and an honor, and one of the greatest ways to start off the year speaking at her conference last year. It was just awesome. And the people that I met that I have so many friends from your conference, all these if I ever need like anything anywhere, I know people around the world from the eye doctor in Austin, and I met people from the Synergy Med Spa over in Washington.
Yes.
And then I have my Martha's Vineyard girlfriends. I was like, I love your people.
No, it is good people. And, the one thing about doctors, especially the doctors that are like self-selected that will come to my conference, they're in the brain space to learn. They're in the brain space to do things a little bit differently. So they've also already like self-selected them out to be like open.
Right.
Maybe trying things a different way or learning new strategies or just growing as a human. So I think that's why, a lot of the speakers actually I don't know, no, not you because you're local, but some of the speakers actually changed their flights so they could stay for the second day.
Right.
Met people that they love
I
so
did
much.
change my schedule so I could stay for the second day.
Amazing. Yeah, it was just like different. It's such a great conference. I had the best time. I felt like I gave birth afterwards. I was like, oh.
And the keynote speaker was from the Housewives.
Yes, Bethany Frankel was our keynote, and the year before we had Tamara Mellon, who was the co-founder of Jimmy Choo's. Left the typical retail space and went completely digital and online with her new brand of shoes, and she's just killing it. And it was just a completely new way of thinking. So we like to bring people that have done things and transitioned and really thought outside the box, because I think that inspires me. And I think we need to hear that, especially as physicians, because we've just been told, you graduate, you get your board certification, and then you go in your office and you just work.
Right.
And it's, we're growers, we're marathon runners. We need goals. We need challenges. in order to stay happy. And so that's why I have all these businesses and all this stuff, because that's what makes me happy. And I think, when the physicians come, they're in some level of burnout. They're in some level of
right.
You know what, this isn't doing it for me anymore. I thought it would all these years I studied, but I just want to go hear about how maybe I can do it a little bit differently. And so you're already self-selecting out for cool people.
And can anybody go, or is it specifically people in the medical industry?
No, it's for everyone. Actually, this is what sets it apart from all the other conferences. And it's actually much more difficult to get sponsors, because if it was just aesthetic doctors, right. I can bring all the lasers would come sponsor it, right? Because they want to sell their lasers.
Right.
The conference is really for anyone who is a business owner of any kind. I want, the hotel owner to say, oh, when we have a, customer who's unhappy, this is what we do. Well, as a doctor, if I have somebody who's been waiting in my waiting room for too long, this is what I can do. And we can get ideas from each other. And that's when I think the real growth happens, not when it's like doctors telling other doctors how they do it. Exactly. Well, we're not necessarily like luxury brand experts, right? So we need to bring in the luxury brand experts to tell us okay, if you want to have a luxury medical practice, or if you want to have a luxury boutique, these are some ideas that's worked for us. This one didn't work. This did work.
Is it the only conference of its kind?
Honestly, I don't know of any other conferences like that.
Yeah, I was just like, I've been to so many conferences. I've spoken at so many conferences. There's nothing like that.
And that was kind of a need, and me speaking about social media 20 times a year, or about plastic surgery, or whatever it is, I know, because I work with big time influencers, that I could learn so much from them. And if I can, why am I giving the talk? That's why I brought you too. When I heard you speak, I took 2 pages of notes, and I'm supposed to be the social media expert, right? So I wanted you to speak to them because you're the expert, or Betty, Betty's an expert. These are the people that should be giving the talks to us, not me.
Yeah, and it's so wonderful, because what's in your heart is about sharing. And I think that's a mentality that a lot of people in business, especially in Beverly Hills, may not have, that there's infinite abundance and there's enough for everyone. The people that are going to love you, and maybe you're not for some, but there's enough to go around. And and that's, my company is called Synergy Unlimited. So, with the power of synergy, anything is possible. And that's what you represent. And I just want to say publicly how honored and grateful I am to be your friend, to have you in my life, to speak at your conference. I just think that you are what the world needs. good role models that are seeking people to be the best, to be that doctor, to be that entrepreneur, to be that innovator, and then don't stop there. Have your TV show, be a philanthropist, take it all to the next level.
See, that's the stuff that's like so exciting to me. Like, this is the first time with a TV show in my life that I feel like it's not something I can study for. I mean, I feel like I've like done all of this, and now the fun's starting, and I don't know where it's going to take me. Like, am I going to be at the Emmys next year? Like, who am I going to meet? You know, like all this stuff is just so cherry on top right now. But it also like, you know, grows my influence. It grows the number of people that I can actually mentor and that I can actually speak to and touch.
Yes.
So all of that is just so exciting to me, because don't get me wrong, I love, you know, doing my breast augmentation, but I'm changing that person's life, one person, which is amazing.
Right.
Imagine if I can just, you know, teach and educate the masses. Like that is, you know, goals.
Yeah, you're a born educator and transformer. Plastic surgery is just one mode of you doing
Yes. And it's just one thing about me. And you know what? It's funny you say that, actually, because I remember sharing, we're going like deep into it now, Deborah.
Yes, we have to.
When I first graduated from residency, my daughter was little, and I was looking at her and we were having this like fun moment. And I looked down at her and I just felt like gross. And I was like, what is happening to me? Why am I like looking at my little girl and not like being totally, you know, just enamored and upset and joyful? Mm-hmm. So she went to a therapist for like 3 months to figure it out. And he said that, you know, we are our core values. And I hope this helps somebody out there, but basically we are our core values, and you have a bunch of sub-personalities. Mm-hmm. The plastic surgeon in you is such a strong sub-personality that it's trying to like smash all of the other things about you. Wants to just grow and take over the world and be chairman at a, you know, university of something someday. And he's like, that's just one little part of you. You don't have to just walk into a room and say, I'm a plastic surgeon, because that brings you so much, you know, confidence or whatever it is. So this is sort of, you know, it's just one little part of me, the plastic surgeon. There's so much more pieces to a person. Like if something happened, God forbid, and I couldn't operate anymore, I would be okay. Because I have so many other things that, you know, bring me joy and excite me. And I think that's what happens to a lot of doctors. And I don't know, maybe people, you know, if you're not doing really well at your job, maybe that's the one thing that you have, it's going to crush you. Mm-hmm. So there has to be so much more to you. And it could be other businesses. It could be yoga. It could be whatever, some group that you're a part of, a philanthropy group or something like that. But there has to be other things that bring you joy. You can't have all your eggs in one basket.
And I think that's why people get into speaking. It's because, you know, they've been an expert in their field for 30 years. Like the expert that you had, the forensic expert, she was on the podcast.
Yes.
Oh my God. And, you know, and then now she's doing this speaking. She's like, yeah, I'm an accountant / speaker.
Yeah. And you get to travel and you get to meet people from other walks of life. And it's just like that growth and that collaborative spirit brings life. Like it brings light into your life.
And you and I both know that life and each day is not promised. So you have to bring light and bring life each and every moment, each and every day. So I'm so grateful to have you here. How can people stay in touch with you? And
I think like Instagram is the best. You know me, I'm always on there. So it's Dr. Sheila Nazarian. It's Dr. Sheila Nazarian.
And is it you that's posting it? You're doing your own Instagram?
I am. That one I'm posting and I'm answering almost everything on there.
Oh, good. Because I feel like I'm talking to you.
The other ones I have help, but that main one is the one that, you know, I sort of do everything.
Well, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. You're amazing.
And thank you all for tuning in. I know that you were so inspired by Dr. Nazarian, and I want you to listen, hear, and then take inspired action. Don't just say, oh, she did it. That's so fantastic. You can do it, because success leaves clues, and you are the messenger for the message. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast. If you want to get a free webinar on 5 steps to be able to be a paid speaker, go to deborahdarris.com/podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, you are the messenger for the message. And with the power of synergy, anything